Lauren, I want to say welcome back to the podcast, Necessity versus Commodity. I'm not sure if anybody or how many people have watched the past interview you and I did before, but it was really short. It was kind of talking about what you do for businesses. We were kind of having a discussion on fulfillment, how to make a business really successful on the back end, not just on the front end marketing, not in the sales, but because in the online space, I think you and I both see certain aspects of it the same way that we don't feel like some of the businesses out there have the pieces in place really to scale. And when they try to, the people that suffer are the clients, or finances or team players. Things just get muddied up. And that's kind of one thing that you do for people.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. And I actually, something we were talking about before we started here is I actually was curious to find out more about what you do. So if you don't mind, I could ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah, actually, let's start off that way. Go ahead, shoot. It's let's do kind of a fireside. So it's back and forth because I get messages actually quite a bit from people. So, hey, what are you doing? Are you doing high ticket sales? Are you doing setting? Are you doing branding? Are you doing marketing? Do you have your own business? Are you still doing fitness? So I get those questions a lot. So yeah, go ahead. Please.
And so this is something I've been doing a lot lately too, is interviewing people, which I can tell you about more later. But yeah, so I guess my first question is like, what would you say your business is? Like, how do you help people and who do you help?
That is a very good question. And it's one that actually has multiple points to answer.
Okay.
If you look at my Facebook banner, it says Call to Rise. So that is one of the brands that when I had a brick and mortar fitness business, an online healing internally rheumatoid arthritis business, so I help people reverse rheumatoid arthritis naturally. When I left those, I decided to make a change. I love coaching people. My brain, I'm a visionary, very strategic mind, very system orientated, looking at fixing problems, figuring out the best way to do it. One of my God-given gifts is to be able to look at stuff and fix things really quickly or see patterns other people don't. So solving problems really fast. And being a fitness professional, I learned really fast that if you don't know how to separate yourself from the rest of the people out there, that you just run into it. So I've helped people with fitness, personal development. Obviously, there's a lot of mindset in there. So Call to Rise is greatness, glory, and gratitude. So reaching every day towards that greatness that God gave us when we were born, every day taking action towards giving and living glory to Him, and then also live in a state of gratitude, whether you're in a situation of a storm or abundance, just to be grateful for whatever that scenario is and what you're learning from it. So that piece is a personal development aspect that I work with people on. So some people come to me because, hey, I'm trying to get physically healthy. I'm trying to get some part to my personal life together. I know I'm not in the right space. So people come to me for that. Now I launched this podcast, which is Necessity versus Commodity, because I really help a lot of people with their professional development as well. Now that could be an employee. So somebody, it might be stuck in like middle management and they want to get promoted. That could be somebody that's in sales. They want to go up into management. That could be making someone wanting to go from one place to another or just improving their skills. So how do you do that successfully? And that can be through skill development, laying out a plan. It's kind of like fitness in reality, but it's just for your professional life. And I think everybody, whether you're an online business coach, whether you're an employee, sales rep, if you're not standing out from everybody else, good luck out there. You're just going to get lost. Now, the really good thing is being in the job market, you and I both know how many people out there don't put any effort in at all. So the very minimal type of effort can have a massive change. But a lot of people, and you and I were messaging, you're kind of like, hey, I'm really good at this. This is what I'm doing for businesses right now. But my passion is YouTube. So what do we look at for changing this professional aspect of your career, your passions, your skill sets, and how to develop that? Now they might mold into one. They might you might fraction them off completely. Now, another piece of the puzzle that I do also is branding, unique selling propositions, really learning how to get a brand name and tag. And actually, there's a gentleman I'm working with in his business right now, and that company is called Brand Titans. He's been in the industry for like 50 years, corporate wise. He uses everything that essentially the top brand titans, the top 5 guys in the industry over the last 100 years that have really written and rewrote every major brand out there corporate wise, or help them rebrand themselves. So the branding, the micro scripting, the taglines, all of that stuff. Because again, if kind of like necessity versus commodity, if you can't stand out who you are, you're just going to go into white noise. And so I'm working with him, number one, to do high ticket sales, help build out the back end, helping with some of the marketing, the inner workings of the business, and to take that off because he's been in corporate the whole time. Now he's moving to the online space and really has no idea about it.
Wow.
Another partner that I work with, his name is ironically Scott as well, and we help small businesses. So people that are making under $10 million, so that could be 5,000 a month or 50,000 a month. But they're basically under that 10 million mark. So he actually had his own tax law firm. He grew it from himself making like $30,000 a year to making it $20 million a year. So we actually go into small businesses and we start with 12 major profit levers. We started adjusting those. And if we can just make like a 3% to a 5% tweak in a couple of those areas, lots of times their revenue can jump from 20 to 30% really, really fast, like within 90 days fast, without having to spend money on management for ads, those type of things. So it might be just retweaking the brand, it might be retweaking offers, the prices, entry point, fulfillment, customer retention. But again, we've got about 12 of them that we go through that we can make major results. So I do multiple pieces there. Now I'm doing high ticket sales for both of those guys, plus building those things out. I've done high ticket sales. The last offer I was on just doing sales was Brandon Kelly at Video Growth Systems, where he helped people build their unique selling proposition, wrote all the copy for their webinars, their ads, their landing pages, built the whole funnel, did everything and ran the ads for them. And that's a huge passion of mine because of me being a fitness professional all those years, moving online. The reason why I failed was because my messaging was way wrong, even though I was talking to people with rheumatoid arthritis. So I do all of those type of pieces. I will be actually by the end of the year launching kind of an umbrella brand that is one, and then basically, hey, which one of the 3 do you need? So I'll be working with people through that process.
So when you say which one of the 3 do you need, what are the 3?
So Call to Rise. So that's basically your personal development, necessity versus commodity, which is your professional development. And then the third one, which I'll be launching shortly, which is going to be your business development, which will be the marketing, but also all the back end pieces too, basically to where, if we look at like the online space, the difference between like someone's making $10,000 a month and $1 million a month, there's a ton of systems, and you know that's something you do. So if somebody is at $10,000 a month, their systems aren't in place for either growth or scale. So if I can implement the strategies and the systems for somebody at 10,000 to know that, hey, it can handle up to $1 million, and we put those pieces in place. Now they might not have those employees yet, but they've got the piece in place ready to bring those people on. Then when we're fixing the marketing, the branding piece, and then they take off, that it's a smooth ride up, not a, hit this issue in 3 months of trying to problem solve. No, you've already got that roadblock. So that piece will be coming out. So, and that will be under one basic umbrella. So that's kind of where like, which one of the 3 do you need? Or do you need 2 of the 3? Do you know all 3? So if we take someone like yourself, let's say you came to me, hey, Scott, I'm trying to get my mind right. But I'm struggling as an entrepreneur. It's really taking attacks on my physical body. We'll work on those as we're working on your professional development, looking at the skill sets you have, what's going in your business. And then possibly I have my own business. I want to launch that. So we're going to build all that out. And that could be anywhere from a 3 months to a 12-month or even longer type of process, depending on the individual and what their goals are. So that's really what I do.
That's awesome. So what inspired you to get into this whole field?
Well, it started with fitness.
Okay.
So what launched me into fitness, actually from like 15 to 24, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, worked in bars, restaurants.
Really?
Ended up being an idiot and drinking and driving and getting myself arrested. And that actually happened more than once. And so it was actually about 5 weeks ago was my 22nd anniversary of the last time that I was arrested. And I made the decision I'm going to change my life. And that's where I've always kind of exercised, played sports, martial arts, football, those type of things.
Mhm.
But fitness really saved my life because of making that transition. I basically lost all my friends because I wasn't out drinking with them. So I made that transition. I actually started back in with my spirituality and connecting with God and Jesus Christ. And through that process, I had a career that went until I was 2-3 years ago, so about 20 years.
Mhm.
And I started off
In
as a personal
fitness?
trainer. Say
Okay.
that again.
In fitness?
Yeah. And so during that journey, I actually started off as a personal trainer, went to a fitness manager, sales manager, general manager, up through Gold's Gym here in Minnesota. And then left that. I got really burned out and went and sold health insurance for 2 years out of a call center.
Yeah, how was that? I hear a lot of people getting into that. Is it?
So it depends on the type of insurance. So I worked at Assurant Health, and they used to have single medical policies, so individuals. And I worked out of a call center, so I was licensed in 48 different states.
Okay.
So basically, you would call in, and it was basically a one shot, one kill type of situation. You'd call in, hey, I'm looking for a policy to do this. I want you to beat my policy that I have through work, which a lot of people don't know about insurance, but if you get insurance through your employee, you're gonna get better insurance. They're paying for part of it, so it's gonna cost less. So why don't, you're not gonna find something better individually unless you go way below coverage. But so I sold that for about 2 years. At that time, Obama was president. Obamacare passed. There were a lot of different rules, regulations that changed. So Assurant Health actually stopped doing their individual medical policies. So they started laying off. There were about 200 of us in a call center. And so they started laying off people piece by piece. They don't even sell it anymore. They're just a small group. At that point, I went back into health and wellness, worked for a chiropractor, helped build up his rehab and gym side of the clinic, then opened up my own facility with my ex-business partner, Barb. And then during the first couple of years of that, we're like, hey, let's move online. So that's where that started my journey online. And I think over the years, I've spent around $150,000 on different coaches for the online piece, from the marketing to the tech to the branding to the sales, and everything in between. And I learned a lot through failing with my own business.
Yep, that's where you learn most of the lessons, right?
Yep. And so some of the people I hired, I got the result that they told me that I was going to get. Awesome. Other people I hired didn't get the result. I still learned because I learned what doesn't work and why. So it kind of helped through that process. And then almost 3 years ago now, I left both of those businesses. Barb has both of those. And I decided to kind of go just into high ticket sales. And for that first year and a half, 2 years, I didn't want to do any coaching anymore. I just wanted to work for somebody, do sales. If they needed help with the marketing or fulfillment or client retention or those pieces, gladly do that. So a lot of the offers I took allowed me to actually be creative and kind of help with some of that as well, because I love doing that stuff.
It's funny that you say that, because when I remember when we were doing our practice calls of practicing sales, when we first met, that I could just tell that you had this natural instinct to coach. Like it just came out. And I was like, I don't know if you're totally in the right, like you're good at sales, but I think that you need to be doing sales for your own coaching, because this is, I see it.
Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that. And it's in my blood, and that's what I want to do. But making that change, I'm like, hey, I want to do good. I just don't want to have my own business right now. And that's another level of a personal story that I don't want to, spend the next 10 minutes going through that piece. But yeah, it was just the right time to make a move. So I moved into the high ticket space and, went with, I'd actually, with my brick and mortar business, I'd hired more gym members, which is Riley Stewart, and they're out of Australia. Their sales manager at the time was Matt Ryder. He was just launching Sales Sniper at that point. So that's when I was introduced to him. Great, amazing sales guy, great, amazing sales coach. I started following him. That obviously led me to 7th Level and Jeremy Minor. So I went through NAPQ 3.0. Bill Walsh was there. It actually enrolled me through that. I loved going through that process. Loved Bill Walsh. Then went through Sean Ray's boot camp with you. And that's where we met. And continued to kind of grow. through that process. My dad had some health issues actually just over a year ago.
Mhm.
He ended up having a stroke. He ended up having open heart surgery and carotid artery surgery. So I kind of had to take a step back and take roles that allowed me to be really flexible and only work a limited amount of time, which actually was really good. And so Brendan Kelly really worked with me on that. And I can't thank him enough for that, because it really helped that process. But then I've gone through like JD Daily, Undeniable Closer, which is an amazing community. They teach so many amazing things to help people be successful in this space. I'm in Bill Walsh's Objection Box right now.
Yeah.
And so the sales piece, like you said, it might not be my strongest strength, right? But it's up there. And I'm also working on it because I believe communication,
Mhm.
sales, once you're good at those, it helps tremendously in everything else.
It's so good. It helps with every sort of communication and everything from personal to business. So
Correct. And it's really interesting too, watching some of the marketers out there that they're starting to use a lot of actual sales frameworks. I always try to tell people that are freaking out, like, I can't follow the script, or I'm not getting it, I'm not understanding. I go, the framework's easy. It's Tony Robbins. The one thing I always like to tell people, it's essentially Tony Robinson's Dickinson process. So
not
Scrooge.
familiar, actually. I know Tony Robbins, obviously, but not that specific one.
Yeah, so when he does his Unleash Your Power 3-day weekends, right?
Mhm.
Like the second night, he's got you all amped up after Friday, and then he
Yeah.
puts you through his Dickinson process, which is Charles Dickinson. It's Scrooged. Your past, your present, and your future, right? You're going to be visited by 3 ghosts. And that really is it when you're thinking about, if you're talking to somebody about sales and trying to
Mm.
figure something out, that, okay, where have you been in the past, right? Like, where are you now? Where are your goals? And then trying to figure out, of showing them that ghost of the future of, do you want to be dead and nobody showing up at your funeral? Or
Yeah.
do you want to live a long, prosperous, happy life? And really sales is about helping somebody make the best possible decision from at that point.
Yeah.
It was one thing with sales too, that I've turned plenty of people away because they weren't the right fit. That was with fitness. That was with my rheumatoid arthritis. There was another thing when I worked with Brendan. He wouldn't take on somebody if he knew that even if we crafted the perfect thing, it wouldn't be as successful, which is what you don't see in the space a lot.
Yeah.
So we didn't take on a lot of fitness offers. If you're just a general, hey, I help you get rid of your dad bod, or I help you get rid of your baby weight, like you can all you want, but to really make that work, his system wasn't built for it. And so that's what really good about the sales piece is, knowing if someone is coming to me through a sales process, whether it's on something for me personally or on an offer I'm on,
Mhm.
I'll be able to really figure out where that person is. And with my past skill set, most of the offers I'm on now are business related. So I can really understand like where someone is at their business on a deep level, because I've been there.
Right.
Have really good conversations and really help them move forward. But yeah, the sales piece and working, the reason why I hired Bill Walsh, he's one of the best out there with objection handlings. And no matter how good your marketing is, no matter how good you talk to somebody during the call, the moment you drop price, go through your presentation,
Mhm.
there's always going to be some sort of this hesitation. I don't even like using the word objection. There's going to be some sort of concern somebody has.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just them have to get out of their own way. So having the ability to really guide somebody through making the right choice today, because I think you and I both know that, I mean, the moment someone gets off the phone, the chance of them coming back is a rarity.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know that all too well. I feel like my very naive, self when I first started out, I'm like, oh, they said they'll think about it. They'll think about it, right?
Yeah, well,
No.
they're going to come back and call me next week, right? And it never happened. So
Yeah.
Building my sales skills was something that's something I've always done too.
Mhm.
It's just not the number one thing I like doing, even though I can still coach people. I can still cause major transformations in people's lives. I can really help people through the doing sales, which is a part of it. But I do like getting down and dirty and into the building and the dirt of things and hard work when I'm actually working with a client.
What is an example of like one of your favorite parts of when you're, getting down and dirty with the business? Like what Is there anything, a specific example that comes to mind of something you love?
You.
What do you mean?
So back when we were going through boot camp with Sean, right?
Uh-huh.
You were doubting yourself. Like, I don't know if sales is for me. I don't know if it's sales. You weren't really sure. We had, during some of the role plays, we had some really good conversations. Also through messages, had really good conversations.
Yeah.
Now you're doing sales part-time.
Mhm.
Do you like it?
So I've shifted the kind of sales I'm doing from the last time that we talked. Like, things are constantly moving with me. The kind of sales I was doing before was more like what we were practicing for. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me says I'm not sure if it was for me.
Yeah.
I like the kind that I'm doing now because it's more relationship building, and it's not, because you know how, so there's very different sales processes and how long the sales cycle is, right? So sometimes you're trying to get them to close in 1 hour. Sometimes it's like a couple weeks, a couple months, like, you know, depending on how large it is, like if it's a giant corporation making a acquisition. But right now what I'm doing is really building relationships and nurturing the relationship and not trying to hard close them. And I just think for me personally, that's more my thing. But everything I learned and practice with you has taught me how to respond to different emails, or because a lot of people in this space are like, they're trying to one up you with their ego. Like, well, we have this many followers, you know, it's like, okay, great. You know, like knowing the stance to take, knowing how I come across and like the positioning and the framework is huge. And so I think no matter what kind of sales I do, because no matter what, you're always selling something, right? You're selling an idea, you're selling a thing, you're selling, you know, yourself. I think that that's all been helpful. That's a long answer to your short question.
No, I think that, and that's perfect. And it let you on that journey. And I love helping people with that, of just figuring out the problems that are going through the brain. And the other part, like talking about you, is one of your messages you sent, and actually sent it earlier today, of, hey, yeah, I'm coming back on. Are we talking about what I do a little bit deeper? Do you mind if I ask you some questions? You know, because what I'm doing for businesses, I'm not sure exactly if I want to do that long term or with my, as a thing, because my passion is YouTube videos, right? And so the one thing I love about coaching, again, is having conversations like that and working with a client. And so if I could, I guess, have a little bit of an open discussion with you around that. You know, you see people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, you see some of these extreme billionaires, and they're asked a question like, if you could tell somebody one thing,
right,
to really change their life, what would it be? And every single one of them answers, follow your passion.
Oh my gosh, that answer.
Right. People thought that you hear extremely successful people say that all the time.
Yeah.
Now, is there something wrong with that? Not at all. But if we look at it again, like you said earlier, communication, marketing, speaking, everything you do, you're selling something. Those people are just selling you a bunch of garbage in my mind, because they actually can't tell you what they're truthfully thinking, which is, I'm smarter than you. I work harder than you. I have more assets than you, and I'm able to accomplish 1,000 times more in one day because of all that than you can in 1 week. Well, there's no way you can beat me.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like if we look at Kobe Bryant and his Mamba mentality. If I wake up and work out at 4, and then work out at 11, and then work out at 2, and then work out at 7, in a year from now, I've done 5 times more than work than you. So there's no way you can ever catch up to me.
Yeah.
And so if someone, they can't give you that real answer of saying, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, right? Because everyone freaking hate them.
Yeah.
Which I understand. Now, I also do think it is important that you, if you can find, you know, you should always follow your passion. I believe those passions are God-given gifts, and you should go do something with them. Does that mean that that's the thing that's going to make you $1 million a month or $1 million a year, or allow you not to ever work for? No, that's not the case.
I mean, it can, not always though.
Correct, right?
I think I have a love-hate relationship with that. Follow your passion. So part of me is totally all for it. Like, yes, you got to do that. And part of me is just like, that's easy for you to say. Now, who's actually like, people give advice left and right? And you have to be very careful who you're actually listening to for taking the advice. And
And
like,
please don't
are
listen to
they
me. You know,
like,
like,
are they paying the bills though? You know, are they
yeah,
living your life? They can tell you, oh, you should go and do this, but then you're the one that actually has to live with the consequences of choosing that path. And they walk away like they just said something and left, you know? So I think, you know, because one of the things, like, my parents always encouraged me to follow my passion. So I went to college for art because I just thought you just had to go to college and then they hand you a job when you get out. Like, I had the most naive, you know, ideas of life. And it was like, follow your passion, be an artist. And then nobody in my art school taught me how to actually sell it. And so that's what, when I got into the entrepreneurial world, was the first thing I did was I had learned the hard way how to actually sell my art. So then I taught artists how to sell their art and how to market it. And then that kind of got me down the rabbit hole of sales and marketing.
yeah,
But it's like, and then I remember people telling me, you'll never make money at art. And it's like, you can. It's not ever going to, well, I hate to say it's never going to be like $1 million business, but it probably won't. Because when you do get up to those numbers, actually, it's more like, I hate to say it, but it's like wealthy people protecting themselves against taxes and like putting money into assets. And it's like, it's not about the art so much at that point, unfortunately, usually. But so like following your passion is super, super important. And I definitely am like, if I'm going to work so hard with these other businesses, you know, this percentage of the time, I have this much left. So when I think about what do I want to do for my own business, I do want to follow my passion. I don't want to do one more thing that's not fueling my fire.
right.
And so with that, I'm like, okay, so what is that thing? I'm like, if I have that little sliver left that I'm going to give to me, what is the me time? And honestly, I keep coming back to YouTube. I love it as a communication form. It is a piece of art to me. But I believe it's helping people and getting a message out there when used correctly. Not everybody's trying to do that. Some people are just doing the craziest things on YouTube.
Yep.
So,
And art's a very broad term, right? And
Mhm.
whether it's the painting behind you,
Mhm.
whether it's music, whether it's sketch art, whether it's visual art, like you're talking about, all these are art. And I agree with you. And it's, you know, it's interesting because like when I started a personal trainer, and even when I used to work at National Personal Training Institute as someone that taught people who want to become personal trainers how to become one. One thing I loved about them is they actually allowed us to teach them the business aspect of it.
Mm.
Because so many people become a personal trainer, think you walk into a gym and all of a sudden, hey, I've got clients from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and life is grand. That's not it at all. And if you can't market
Yeah.
yourself, if you can't talk to people, if you can't sell people, most people last about 4 or 6 months. It's kind of like a lot of sales reps we see in the industry. They're lied to and said, oh yeah, you know, come through, take this 30-day course and, you know, you're gonna be making 30 to 40K working 4 hours a week from a beach, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Everybody's at the beach, all the entrepreneurs.
all of them, every single one of them, you know,
Yeah.
it's why it's so expensive to fly to Mexico, because everyone's just down there on the beach just sucking on margaritas.
Yeah.
But that's the lifestyle everyone wants, right? And so many people are the marketing is just to sell an identity, and that's the identity people want, and they'll pay a large amount for it. And that's a key part about marketing as well. But making a successful business, and that's where, like with the personal training part, I was never going to be able to live the lifestyle that I wanted to because of the income. That's why I opened
Mhm.
my own business, which really just made my own job. Then
Yeah.
that's why I moved online,
Mhm.
right? And so keep progressing through this. Now, talking about the YouTube. So one thing, I launched this podcast after thinking about for 2 years. There
Mhm.
was a few different things, just personally, emotionally, I wasn't ready to do it. And then when I was ready, it was about another 6 months, and I kept having the excuse, I don't know how to make it look good on YouTube. I don't know how to make videos look good. I had all these excuses. I'm like, I'm done with the excuse. I'm just going to go and do it. Now
Yeah.
that it's launched, I do want to learn YouTube.
Mhm.
So it is one of your skill sets. So after this, I do want to have some further conversations about it. But to kind of go back to your questions of what I love doing with people,
Mhm.
it would be love having a conversation, sit down, working with you on how you're working with businesses right now, setting up their systems, going through the procedures, all the details we talked about on the first time we interviewed. And then is there a way of actually combining other pieces to bring your passion into that? Or, hey, my passion is this part. And lots of times your passion, it can make you a lot of money. Other times it might not make you enough to survive. So you might have to have a part-time job that you're doing some of these other things that you're skilled at, right? Because God also gave you a lot of skills and you've developed skills over that time. Just because it's not the thing you love the most doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes where we just have to put our head down and go to work. So the part that I would love, let's say you came to me as a client, I would work with you. We would figure out, okay, how do we actually make this work? Start getting an idea of what that would look like professionally. Would it look like a business aspect too? If that's the case, what would that look like? Because truthfully, with what you're doing now, I can actually see them intertwine like a DNA molecule.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
If I launch my business, I'm not good at YouTube, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of people out there that aren't. And it's a very important medium for a lot of people to use, just video in general. But YouTube, I think especially, it's getting bigger and bigger, and more powerful, with long form, even with the reels and the shortcuts and whatever they call them on. Being good with that to build organic, to get people to know you, to get what you stand for, to who you know. I know my videos don't look the greatest. I know I don't even have thumbnails yet. Like that's one of the things, like I have to go back to like 20 interviews.
I will say that was one of the things I was going to talk to you about. I was like, it's very easy. We can do this.
And it's one of those things, like I'm working inside 2 other companies. I'm doing this other stuff. I have this podcast, like, I have to.
Yeah. How can we simplify that for you? Like if we're going to take what I'm doing with the other businesses, how do we streamline your, let's make it as easy as possible, because it doesn't have to be recreating the wheel each time.
And that's why I want to talk with you, because I can streamline stuff together. But as an example, like making a YouTube channel to have the thumbnails, the descriptions, the hashtags, the link, blah, blah, all those pieces, I can streamline all that. The problem is, okay, a thumbnail, I don't really know how to make a good one right now. I'm not going to spend the time to research on how to do it. I'm just not going to worry about it right now.
And so me, I've already done all the research.
That's exactly it. And that's why and I was just having a discussion with a life coach through commenting the other day. He's like, hey, life coaches, what do you hate most about gurus and marketing consultants? That was his Facebook post. My comment was, every life coach should be asking themselves, why do gurus and marketing consultants hate life coaches? And he kind of got offended. And I just go, well, the problem is, life coach is so generic. It's just like the dad bod thing. Life coach, who are you speaking to? You're not speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
So you can go to a marketer, you can go to a guru, and so many people do get promised, hey, we're going to build out this process for you. It works with everybody. And it takes you from 0 to 50K a month in no time. And you're living that beach lifestyle again. Right. Well, if your offer is life coaching, the templates are given you and you just plug it in life coaching, good luck. Nobody's going to show up. And the people that are not going to pay you a dime. And so that it's a big piece of the puzzle when it comes through. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because one of the things I said to them, people are missing a step. They're not hiring the person that's going to help them with the branding, the messaging, the marketing, the unique selling proposition to dial that in. So now actually when you plug that into your organic marketing or your paid advertised marketing funnel, now you're actually speaking exactly to the people that you want to be speaking to. Now you will actually become successful. So that's why someone should hire you for the YouTube channel, right? Why, like I said, I want to talk to you about it. So
I do
a little bit of coaching on.
I didn't push too hard on it, but it's a channel your purpose. So channeling your purpose.
I love it.
Double entendre that.
That's good branding and marketing. That's super good.
But the idea is like, how do you build a channel that is like delivering your purpose? So like you have yours, it's Call to Rise. Is that how you say it?
Yep,
so
Call to Rise is one, and that's kind of the personal one. And I haven't put too much on there lately. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, but that or the yes.
Yep.
So like the things that you're trying to teach through that is maybe how you feel like your purpose is expressed. So like, how can we put that on YouTube and also, like there's the talking head videos, there's people who do vlogs. So I've kind of learned a lot about like what makes that successful, what makes that like a huge, like vlogs take a lot of time because there's lots of editing, whereas talking head, shoot and you're done. You can turn on your screen.
Yep.
I usually do it over Zoom, just record it. Talking into Zoom, that's the easiest way, I think. You have a camera on your computer or on your phone. And you froze for a second. That's the only problem with technology, is every once in a while there's hiccups. So also that's another thing, like
You
as
froze
there's
for a second
hiccups,
too on my end.
what do you do? And
Yep.
learning, the art of editing and cutting. And I actually, I get all jazzed up about it. That's how I can tell I'm passionate about it. Cause I'm like, when you start to talk and you talk faster and you get more excited, I'm like, oh, I think I like that thing. But so channeling your purpose, how can you build that channel? And then, so one of the things I was trying to teach in my channel when I started was like for artists, how to market themselves. And I was like, well, instead of just telling them something boring, like I did one recently, I just need to communicate where to get their art tent that they kept asking me about. They're like, where did you get your art tent? And I found it online and I put some
that
links.
video. Yeah.
Super, super simple thing that I could have said in like a one sentence and be done. And I was like, I'm going to have fun with it. I'm like, how can I make it a little bit funny or a little bit, and then I've made a few that are ridiculous and funny. And actually, I always enjoy sharing those more. When someone says, send me a link to your video, I want to send them the ones that make them laugh. Because in my mind, I just like it when I can bring a smile to someone's face.
Yeah.
Like I can be informative and I can be boring, or I can, still share the information, but make it more interesting. And that's not going to be for everyone. Like maybe you don't want that flavor or that style, but what's your persona when you come on, you create your channel? How do you want the viewer to feel when they watch your video? Like you could, there's this guy I just watched recently. He talks about like, he went antiquing. He did a whole video about going to antique stores, and he's
Awesome.
this adorable young Indian guy. And he's just talking about these clay bowls and how they're so special. And like, I have a whole new appreciation for clay bowls at an antique shop, but he's so calm when he talks. And I'm like, you can bring an energy to your videos with like the speed of how you talk, the music you put in it. Some people are like, what's up? Like they have that kind of energy. Ryan Serhant, he's super hyped up,
Yeah.
so I just think, I don't know, obviously that's what I love, because all of a sudden I lit up. So, yeah.
So looking at my YouTube channel, I guess that I really was like, I'm not going to use that excuse. I'm not going to try to research how to make it perfect. And every little thing you need, I've been in the game enough. I know what needs to do. I can look at somebody and be like, wow, that stuff. Yeah, that you need to have those pieces. That's key. But I wasn't going to let it stop me from launching right now. So going back and looking at some of the things I need, like what would the thumbnail, obviously we discussed already, what's something else that you kind of see? And before you answer that question, I love your microphone.
What's that?
I love your microphone.
Can I tell you the truth about it?
Is it really?
So this one's not really, it's my prop microphone.
That's even better.
Oh, Yeti.
So
you know why? Because this one comes like with a super complicated mixer that I couldn't figure out how to work. And I'm like, but I love how it looks.
it looks amazing. And I've been staring at it the whole time. And the reason why I'm bringing it up too, I almost didn't launch my podcast because I don't have a microphone. And even like in the sales industry, like remote sales, all the really good guys have microphones. And I kind of have like microphone envy. And now I'm at a point like, nope, I'm not doing a microphone. I'm going to be the guy that's different. What's your take on a microphone in a video? Because it seems like everybody has them. Like it's.
You mean like for them showing? Or
yeah, because to me it's a visual thing, and it's one of those subconscious weird things. Like, ooh, this guy's a higher status because he's got a microphone in his video.
Yeah. Well, okay. So today's actually the first day I'm putting it in the video. I've done a few photos and things with it for fun, just because I love how it looks. But so I think having a good microphone is super important, because if you have poor sound quality, then it's very hard to listen to a video. I think the Blue Yeti is a basic. I don't think it's that expensive. It might be like $50 or something.
Yeah, they're not bad. Yeah.
They're not bad. They're pretty good quality. They have some different settings. I honestly don't know how. There's a ton of different settings. I don't know how they all work. But
I have one of the silver snowballs. That's
yeah. And now Ben has bought different microphones over the years. My husband, so he now has one that's like smooth as butter sound. Like, and you can tell it's really good. we did a podcast once and we had the trouble though of it's very directional of like where it takes the sound in from. So we had to kind of keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
But the problem with that, so you learn all these technical difficulties as you're going, right? You're like, oh man, if I have two people on, then I have to do this. And it's like, just start, just use whatever microphones on your phone or on your computer, and then slowly upgrade as you go. Don't let that stop you. But as far as being in the visual thing, if it's, I mean, I think you do get the idea of that it's a podcast then, because it's, I mean, if you think about it, podcasts haven't been around for that long, right? We are developing a culture, and now we're like, oh, if you see a microphone or maybe the headphones, like they're a podcaster. But we're all developing this as we go. You know what I mean? Like, and you could start something new that maybe nobody's done before or something. You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
part of the anti-microphone mob. That's what I'm going to start.
are you?
No, but I've thought about it, and it's just really interesting because when I do see them, and you just brought up something that never clicked in my mind. So I always looked at it like a status type of deal, but you brought up, hey, this is a podcast. That is a very good marketing thing, because if I'm doing a clip and posting on Facebook and I'm talking about, hey, here's a link to my podcast. When people see the video and me just talking, they might not know what it is. They might, hey, this is just a recorded training session. This is just him talking, but I think having a microphone might do that. And
yeah, so
I've
I
been
think
thinking about
partly
getting one for a
functional,
while.
but partly, like you're saying, it's showing like what you're doing a little bit more. It's taking it one step extra that like, hey, I'm podcasting. I don't know. Which also I'm like, is a podcast, is it audio only or is it video, or is it, I guess it's both though?
It is both, right? Like some podcasts, they do both mediums. Some are just one or the other. I'm going to be putting all mine on audio as well.
Yeah.
That'll be another piece of it. Now, you just brought something up there too that I want to discuss.
Okay.
Your husband, Ben.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's actually going to be coming on hopefully next week or the week after. Do you want to give people a little bit of tidbits about him and kind of give it a little trailer?
I mean, there's so much to say. I mean, he's the one that got me into this crazy internet marketing world. But I mean, some people know him as like the pirate captain because he at times dresses up like Captain Jack Sparrow. He is amazing at sales, has worked with some really big companies. Really, I think the thing that I really like about him, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but he really ties philosophy and like, I mean, we have a ridiculous amount of books in this house and almost all of them are his. And it's like, he remembers all these little parts of the books, like a little paragraph, and he can almost quote it perfectly. And then he'll go find the book. He's like, yeah, on page, this, it says right here. I'm like, how did you do that? But he's able to like in his mind, bring all these different ideas together to be able to, maybe make a point or teach something, give you a framework to use. And so, I mean, I don't think I've ever met anyone quite like him, as far as just the way he thinks. And so whether he's helping someone with sales or like, just, I don't know, how to live, I just think he's amazing, but I'm again biased.
Yeah, I can't wait to have him on. And, you kind of just describing his brain there, and it's kind of the same thing, whether I'm looking at working with someone personally, professionally, or just on their business. I'm the same thing. I've done personal development for 20 years. Everybody you can think of, different courses, books, audios, following their YouTube channels, all of that type of piece, the whole mindset work. Now, also a huge biblical side of things. And so I've studied that. I actually went to theology school, went through the Old Testament, did not do the New Testament, but I've continued to study over the last 12 years, do a Bible study essentially every single week. I've been doing that consistently, but constantly learning. So every principle that I've ever learned from personal development, it's all traced back right to the Bible, which I always find really interesting. There's nothing ever new. But talking about that same thing with like business strategy books, marketing strategy books, sales books, sales letter books, all those type of things. And so I have all these little pieces, and so I can't wait to talk to him, because I think him and I are gonna have a really good conversation, because I think we have a brain that works pretty close. Now that's on page 68 of this book, and it's on the second shelf. It's a fifth book in. I'm not that guy. not that guy. So I love that aspect about him because I do know some people like that too, and it's truly amazing. So I can't wait to him on. So everybody make sure that you look for that one too, because Ben's an amazing person. So talking back about the YouTube, my background,
Mhm.
again, you look at these podcasters, you got the picture there, you got the
Which actually,
lighting.
I want to change my background. This was like, this was because of the last offer I was on.
Yep.
Actually, you can't see it, but like in the background, I have like a printer because I was working with like corporate people. So I'm like, well, maybe if it looks a little more officey, and I have my diploma and like some books, but I still want to bring in some of me. So I got the art. But I really want to change it, to be honest.
Yeah.
For you right now, I would say it's very flat. So one thing you can do is angles. Like right now, at least I have the leading line of the bookshelf. So sometimes it's just as simple of shifting your where your camera is in your background. And then also like natural light is a great way. So I have a big window here, but I also have some light that's like bouncing off walls. But those are some super simple hacks, as well as like, I mean, you can get as fancy as you want, right? Like you
Yeah.
can paint things and put lights and all that.
Yeah. And some people have, whether it's that background where it's like the
Yeah, the textured wall.
jagged edges, people have white or blue or black and then lighting. And I technically have two lamps
Mhm.
that kind of look more antiquish with, kind of like the glass tops. They're off the
Mhm.
camera view. I had them originally kind of in camera view, just on the corners with the lights on. I
Mhm.
didn't like the look of it. I'm just like, I am too square and too much in a space.
Yeah.
It didn't look good. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Do you think that stuff really plays a big part? Ooh, I think it was one of your videos I watched that I changed something back in not too long ago
Okay.
to never have a door in your background.
Oh yeah. And honestly, that's what
That
the paint's hiding. I have
it,
so many doors in here, but I am hiding a door with this.
so
Uh,
talk about that, because when I watched your video on that, when did you put that one out? 6 months, 8 months, 12 months ago?
that one might have been an older one. Well, I don't know. I might have talked about a couple different ones because I do have a few that's like how to upload a video and stuff like that. But so the idea with the door is subconsciously your mind is thinking that someone might walk through the door. Because if you think about anytime you see someone like in a bathroom in a shower scene in a movie, you're like, oh, someone's behind the curtain, or they're gonna be behind the medicine cabinet, they're looking in the mirror, someone's gonna be there, like you're trained to know that that's what's probably gonna happen. So whether or not you think about it or not, if you see a door there, sometimes it can be slightly not alarming, but like just a little bit off. And anything you can do to kind of make them feel a little bit more calm. Like,
Yeah,
well,
and
actually,
and that so
may
makes
not be
sense
just
to
calm
me.
them. It's
Yeah,
depending what you want them to feel, I guess.
yeah, and it made total sense to me. Like, we don't even understand some of the subliminal things. There was trying to remember. So it's one of those magician people that do random things and like, oh, how did you do that? And they were playing basketball with Ben Stiller, or
Mhm.
yeah, it was Ben Stiller, and so he was shooting and just shooting hoops, and so the guy would say, hey, give me a two number with two numbers, and he would say
Mhm.
it. Now give me a 3, now give me a 4, now give me a 2. Went back and forth, and then he had these 4 boards,
Mhm.
and he flipped them all over. He got every single one right.
Mhm.
And he was sitting there going like, how did that happen? He goes, well, when I said give me 2, there's a guy in the background over there who wears a jersey of 13. That was the answer he gave.
Mhm.
The 3-letter or the 3-numbered one, he said 428. Like that's been the clock. You've been shooting at that the whole time.
Uh-huh.
When
Okay.
we walked in, we were standing here, you were facing, we're in auditorium room number 118 or whatever it
So they
was.
put the idea in their head, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's all that subliminal stuff.
Yeah.
That was crazy, right? And we don't realize that when we're watching videos, going through our daily life, how much subliminal programming we have. And that's why it hit so hard when you said don't have a door. I'm like, dude, that makes total sense. Like, and especially if I'm doing a sales call where you're trying to have a calm conversation with someone.
Yeah.
If they're subconsciously going, dude, there's going to be someone that comes in and kills this guy, right? And it was right around the same time when the whole swatting thing was going on. Did you ever hear about swatting?
No. Like
So
a SWAT team?
swatting, yeah. So it was a gamer thing. So like someone would be gaming, playing Call of Duty, and they'd be like streaming that, and somebody would call and get and the SWAT team and to go into the house because there was whatever happening. So the SWAT team would come and bust in the door while they're sitting here playing video games. So it's called swatting, which is kind of horrible, but that it was right around the same time. I'm like, I wonder how many people actually would be watching, see a door there, and they don't even realize that they're really nervous and uncomfortable, which you don't want when you're talking to somebody. So
the power though of subliminal messages and how you can use that to your advantage though, I actually create a whole course that's like how to create like a digital dream board. So instead of like a physical dream board, how to create one that basically, like, one of the quickest ways is on your phone screensaver, just put an image that you of something that you want. Now you want to make sure that when you see it, it doesn't constantly remind yourself of like, man, I don't have that thing. You don't want it like I tried it for a little while of putting an image of my bank account with a certain amount of money in it, but I would feel the feeling of like, yeah, I have that money, and then, oh, I don't have that money. So you want to make sure that when you're doing something like that to kind of like trick your mind, that it doesn't create the opposite effect. So it's better if like it's just, let's say, a field of flowers, and it makes you feel calm, and then all of a sudden you'll end up, wow, I've been taking lots of walks in fields of flowers, I guess because subliminally I talked myself into, I want to be outside, I want to go walk. I've done so many things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I made that decision and I didn't realize I was like hypnotizing myself. So once you take control of that and you can guide yourself into getting the things you want and making the decisions that get you to that, like it's
kind of one of the things too, when I had some clients work out at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. When you go to bed at night, take your shoes, put them next to the bed, your workout clothes next to the bed, put your water next to the bed before you go to bed. Because now once you go to bed, you set that intention. So now when you wake up, it's you almost go into autopilot, makes it way easier, right? Rather than no, snooze it again. So there's those little things we can program. And I've had this discussion on a podcast before, and it might be something that I'm not going to say I'm going to get aggressive but something I'm going to start putting out there a lot more. But I see it in the online space so much about the manifestation, and I don't believe in it one little bit.
Okay. What do you not believe in about it?
I don't believe that we have the ability to control the universe the way that these people talk about with manifestation. And I have a bet that out there in the world right now, and anybody watching this bet will always be there. If you can manifest a bag of $50,000 in front of you in the next 24 hours, I will give you $1 million.
So, yeah. So my thought is that I think it's a misunderstanding or a misuse. Like different people use the same word in multiple different ways. Right.
Yep.
So for me, I think of it as like, because I want this thing, I start to make decisions that lead me towards that thing. And then in a way that's manifesting, but it's not just like, I really want this and poof, there it is. Like, it's not a genie.
And so I see people coaching
that's what it comes down to. Like,
right.
How do we mean this word? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does 100%. And that's where when you follow other people like David Goggins, right? Like he's a very intense, high level, pretty intense individual. He didn't sit there and manifest him being able to do the things he did. He went out and took actions towards it daily and was disciplined towards it daily. Jocko Willink talking about extreme ownership. Take ownership in what you're doing. And he's got two of the favorite, two little clips are out there, but it's kind of based off his thing. One is lies and then one is good. So the lies is every excuse you come up with is a lie. And it's a little short clip. He's like, oh, I don't have time today. Lies. I don't have enough money. Lies. And it's just a great little clip. Maybe I'll put it in, but it's awesome. The near one's good. Like, hey, we don't have enough equipment. Good. Figure out how to solve the problem. Hey, this failed. Good. Right? Like the moment you can look at every situation, that's why I like the gratitude piece with me, whatever situation be, and be grateful for it. Because every time that I've failed or gone through something hard, that's where you get your biggest, right? Like the easy wins and getting a participation trophy never gets you anything. And so looking at it that way, and so to your point, I don't look at it as manifesting. I look at it as actually building. You're creating, you're making a very disciplined decision to make an action every single day to get a specific result. That's data points. That's not That's not, and I get some people don't want the aggressiveness of like, hey, this is data point. So some people like, hey, we're gonna manifest this. Well, how are we gonna do this? Well, we're gonna put a vision board up, and then every day we're gonna take these little actions, and now it sounds more
Yeah.
soft and fun, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the,
data points doesn't sound so soft and fun.
no, and it's not nearly as fun as get your ass go to bed, you know, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. So I do
Yeah.
understand that, but I've just seen way too many people, and the reason why I have such a problem with it, because I've been in some masterminds
Mhm.
where the reason why I was told the reason why I wasn't successful is because I wasn't meditating and manifesting hard enough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
me meditating is not going to change the Facebook algorithm. I mean, it's
Right.
not going to make magic results happen, right? And so that's kind of what I mean about the manifesting. So,
Yeah.
how did we get on that tangent?
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't either. So, looking at YouTube, so I want to talk to you next week and actually get some idea. So, thumbnails is something you brought up. What other things would you suggest looking at what you've seen from my stuff so far that you say,
I
hey, good,
think
bad, and ugly, I don't care?
the biggest, easiest change is the thumbnails, because that's what people, when they're scrolling, you would just want to think through, especially if they're on their phone, how small that will be. So whenever I make a thumbnail, I try to make it really, really small and see what would that look like, and keep it to 3 to 4 words that get across the main point. So those words on the thumbnail can be different than the title. They don't need to be the exact same. And then that title, you need to be thinking about what they're going to search for. So when they go to YouTube, they're like, so I mean, if you think about maybe some of the main things that we talked about today, you could make it about like how to optimize your videos in YouTube or something like that. So if they're searching, how do I, just think through that. You can also search when you're doing the search, see what's suggested. There's some free different tools that will tell you like how many people are searching for different things. You don't want it usually, okay, there's mixed opinions on that, of how do you want it to be something that everybody's searching for? Because then sometimes you're just lost among the crowd. Some people say niche down and have to be something small. Like, I think that's why my art channel, I mean, every day I get new subscribers, and I haven't done anything in a while. I haven't posted anything, honestly, but I just keep getting new subscribers, and that's part of what draws me in. I'm like, man, like it keeps going without me. People are watching my videos right now without me doing anything. And it could be videos I made years ago, but I think it's because there are not as many people searching for the art marketing videos. So thinking through, what are they going to type in when you create that title? When they see that thumbnail, is it super obvious what the video is about? Usually you want to have it as simple as possible. Like, let's say you took you right now and it's just you'd cut out the background. There's a simple tool on Canva that'll cut out the background for you. You don't have to do anything fancy on Photoshop or anything. Make the words big. And then background, lighting, sound. I mean, it's one of those things I would say, so you don't get overwhelmed, fix one thing at a time. And that could be one thing a week, or it could be one thing a month, one thing each time you create a video, whatever's not going to overwhelm you. Cause that's the problem, is like, there's a million different things you could improve on a video, right?
Yep, agreed.
But what's the main point of the video? Is it just to get across the information? Is it to get people to know what you're, about, and focusing on that? And I would even play with, I mean, I know we've gone forever on this, but play with some different short, lengths of times. I like how you cut up our last video. I was like, oh, look at that. That was great. Yep. And I like that you had different colors. I could tell it was 2 different videos because we have the same, same me, same setting, but has different colors. Therefore, I knew it was a different video.
Yeah, and I when you actually sent me a message and said, oh, hey, awesome, I really appreciated that feedback a lot, because I know that your artistic eye really is good for that. And some people don't even do that, but I do that on purpose. So because I'll post one in the morning, and sometimes I post one later that night or the next day, and I don't want people to think it's just the same thing. And so I'm kind of playing around. I like certain styles, certain colors. I'm not a magician at it either, with some of the people, and they're having pictures and stickers popping up and
get your attention. That was good.
Yeah. And I playing around with the blue one, but it seems, I love it, but it doesn't seem like it gets the reaction that I would get. So I'm still
also thinking through the background of YouTube. I think it's usually white. So like if the background's white, which I feel like it's different if you're looking at YouTube on a TV. think it's black. I don't know. Anyways, but just thinking through, how does that thumbnail look against that background?
Yeah, that's a good call. Question on the thumbnail too. Having like a standard template that I'm just exchanging out pictures and words, like, is that way most people do it, or do they do like a brand new one every time?
I think it's a really good way to simplify the process and streamline it, because you don't need to overcomplicate it. Try it, and you'll see some people try one for a while and then all of a sudden they switch to a new template. And I think that's fine. I sometimes have a little bit too much fun because I'm an artist creating
Yep.
totally different ones. And then sometimes I'm like, let me try almost like a branded series. Like this is, this is the podcast series, the interview series. So they're all going to have something similar except for change out the speaker.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. And that's why thank you. I mean, that's helping tremendously already. And yeah, I do want to talk with you next week too. Yeah, and I know that we've been here for about an
because you got the
hour.
lighthouse. The lighthouse subconsciously says that you're the lighthouse, which is like a guiding light,
Do you pick that up?
That's what I pick up because I know like symbols in art,
Well, I love it. I actually bought this for my mom about 24 years ago because she loves lighthouses. It was a gift for their anniversary present. So what I have it up there, one reason it is more so just because of her. But that's funny that you pick up on that, because I've wondered if people have ever picked up on that, because I've had some people that have shot me back an email after a sales call, like, dude, where is that lighthouse from? I have to know. And the funny thing is, like, I bought it at an art fair. The artist wasn't there. There was no information. So I don't know if it's a real place or just an imagination. And if it is a real place, I have no idea where it is.
Like it could be Maine or something. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? And over the years too, I bought my parents as like little gifts, like drive across the United States to hit all lighthouses, and there's like thousands of them, right? So they get all the major ones and kind of do. So yeah, and I've never seen like that one before, but it does look East Coast-ish. Like the style of the lighthouse does feel like fishing sort of type of deal. So, but it's interesting you picked that up. I always kind of wonder if people did that as well or not. So that's the other thing of me going, well, if I change, that might not be the background. Am I okay with that? I am. But I thank you for your advice of, just progress as you go through. And, I'm not going to have the Joe Rogan, party room or anything like that. That's not my goal, but, those are some really good pointers. I'd love to have further discussion on it too. So, and so you said you normally use Canva for it?
Yeah, Canva's so easy in my opinion.
It
It's
is.
free. There's a paid version. I can't remember if the background remover is in the paid version, but it's like $12 a month. It's not bad.
Yeah, and I've got the paid version, doing that for different marketing and assets for funnels.
And it'll like resize things if you want because that's the other thing is like if you're going to post a thumbnail that's on Instagram versus Facebook, you can just then click the resize button and it'll do it into whatever format it needs to be.
I just got Placeit not too long ago too.
I'm not familiar with that one. Is it a photo editing kind of software?
Yeah, it along the line of kind of like a Canva, but really good for, I'll share my screen here real quick. So when you're doing different mock-ups, designs, a lot of different fun stuff to where, essentially Canva where they've got their stock options, but the Placeit is definitely a lot more for when you're talking about branding, marketing, your funnels and your assets, those type of deals, having those pictures where people are holding your book or, logo on their t-shirts and things of that type of fun stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely start playing with that over the weekend, and I'm sure I'll kind of message you and kind of go from there. Now, you kind of asked me some questions there, which I'm really glad we went and we kind of talked about some of your genius and where you're kind of going. Is there anything else on the tip of your mind that either that you wanted to kind of talk about or maybe ask me a question about as well?
I guess what's next for you? Do you have any big upcoming things that you're trying to build with your business or?
So the two offers I talked about earlier, right? We just launched one funnel, and we're building a foundation with a low entry point, even with a high end ticket. So we're trying to build to also not just get that list going. So we got a low entry book, upsells through that funnel. Also to help, put people into a Facebook group, and kind of build that organic, and then, also obviously by email. So having those email sequences that build that value, that trust and certainty. So that process I know is going to take a little bit. We are going to be launching a webinar funnel, which will be targeting more for the high end ticket. So the next 4 months for the rest of the year is going to be interesting to see how that progresses. The other on different offer that I think we talked about before, which is Travis Steffen growth team, where he does viral loops, basically Silicon Valley ones. That right now with me, that's kind of on the side because he's kind of putting together the structure, because we launched and said, yep, the market, it's not, things would just weren't connecting right. And so rebuilding kind of the way that process is going, and then working with Bill Chalet at Brand Titans that, just started. They have we have the webinar all up and going. We're changing some things on the thank you page, email sequences. That seems to have been having a really good effect. So we're going to be building out, helping him build out his organic ecosystem. So I've got those 3 pieces. Like I said, the third piece of mine is really the business aspect of the branding and marketing, all of those pieces to have my own there. So my intention is by the end of the year to really have that launched and then have my overall brand, what it is. So, but I'll probably be working with Bill and Scott for some time, long time, foreseeable future. Scott and I are partners. And so some of my stuff will be more on that side end, that passion, that purpose type of piece. And so I know that over the next 4 months too, that my social media platform is going to be changing a lot from some of the stuff that I have, because a lot of people just knew me as fitness. And so this last probably this whole year, and specifically like last 5-6 months, trying to get myself out of the people knowing me as fitness and just mindset type of stuff. And I post stuff to stay, but a lot of it is motivational. A lot of it is stories about, overcoming stuff, keep going.
Yeah.
Where I am, say it again.
It's a rebrand.
It is. And, the good thing is actually the past month, I've had probably 6 different people reach out to me that only knew me from fitness and helped them on a business level. So I know that that's working. That's so yeah, the next 4 months is going to be kind of me solidifying that piece. Now, whether I go 50 on that and 50 with like Scott or whatever, I'm gonna kind of let things play out. So
All
yeah,
right.
I guess that's kind of the direction where things are going right now. I don't, there's part of being a solopreneur that's awesome, and the other part that it's really lonely too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, partnering with Scott and, I'm coaching and helping business owners there, and maybe I stay in that realm. It's, we all have different, it's the same thing I teach someone when it comes down to like their diet, the way they exercise, their profession. Everything has a season. Just make sure you're doing it for a certain reason. And then if that season's up, it might be time to change and do something else for a certain season for a different reason, type of piece. And so I'm in that season right now where there's parts falling into place, and the tumblers are falling into place, so to speak. And we'll see what it unlocks here, by the end of the year. So
That's exciting.
yeah, kind of. So
The unknown can be nerve-wracking, but it's also exciting too. So
I've learned over the years. So back from like 15 to 24, I was working in bars and restaurants. At about 18 to 24 months working at the same job, I would get really, really squirrely. So it wasn't growing. Nothing was new. It was all repetitive. That's when I'm in my worst. My best is actually when there is, and every day is an unknown. I mean, I might not wake up tomorrow, right? Like every day is a true unknown, and we don't know what gift could happen today doing the right things or doing the wrong things. And so that's why I try to look at it. I think that's why I operate the best sometimes of, oh, the unknown and,
Yeah.
having
Always
dreams
be
and
growing.
stuff. Yeah, 100%. So how about yourself?
I think, yeah, I'm part of that. I'm in many different seasons right now, and working with Influencer Press is one of the companies I'm working with, and I'm talking with another company about helping them with some different things. So um, I love that, at least with Influencer Press, it's very aligned with I love talking to influencers. I love talking to entrepreneurs and being able to ask them, find out like, what are they doing? How are they helping the world? And then to
Yeah.
help get their message out. So I think it's very aligned with, it's similar but different to the channel your purpose idea. And, I think at the end of the day, I just love this entrepreneur world. And so I might keep bouncing around doing different things, but it's all just acquiring different skills, growing, and always being able to bring more experience and knowledge to the next thing. So I think it's not bad to keep trying new things. It just brings more to the table.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll start working on those more of the YouTube videos. Keep going, That's a big thing, right? You got to like not let your own thing go when you're trying to help other people build up their thing.
One hundred
Keep going.
percent. And that would be one piece of, advice kind of have two of, they always talk about documenting your journey,
Mhm.
And your love for YouTube. I mean, documenting your journey because you never know where it goes. And you said something really key there, and I hope people caught it.
Mhm.
Going through certain things to learn certain things, right? So personal trainer, then sales, then management, then running, the whole part of a business, then owning my own business, then moving online, then the marketing, then more sales, right? Like each piece, you grow along the way.
Yeah.
And you realize the things that you really enjoy doing, the passions that come out, the things you absolutely hate, where, geez, I'm slacking in this part, because I do love creating. And that's one of the things, like talking about thumbnails, like getting in and starting creating a thumbnail is going to be really exciting. I just didn't know the first steps of what, so I just wasn't going to do it. But now spending time with that, and so
The simplest way, take a screenshot from this and then just add some words, or like do screenshot, background remover, add 3 or 4 words. Boom.
no, I'm gonna have to make it prettier than that.
You can
Yeah,
make it pretty.
and just I'm colorblind, so
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
one
wow.
thing too. That like sometimes like I pick colors and like people are like, "Are you? What are you doing?" Like that's so awful. Same thing with my clothes sometimes. So when I get a couple thumbnails put together, I'll probably send them to you, have you critique each one and let me know which one looks good.
The other thing I do is like create one and then make 3 or 4 more. And then by the time you get to that 4th one, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than what I started out with. That's what I find. Like you just hit copy and it'll copy the whole thing down and then just move the words around, try it, make it smaller, bigger.
Agreed. What, yeah, and that's actually how I love to do it too. And then, yeah, I love doing that stuff, and I can spend a couple hours and no problem doing that. And I have to be very careful not to do that stuff at night. If I start that at 9 o'clock at night, next thing it's 3 in the morning, and I've designed 10 other things that don't even matter. That don't have anything to do with business at all. But yeah, I'll send those to you, have you kind of review them, and I would love that once. I'll give you a message kind of back and forth, and maybe have a conversation. You and I can talk about that as well. So I think it's awesome, and I love what you're doing with inside businesses. I know we didn't talk too much about that again. But yeah, if you need any help too about figuring out how to, with the YouTube passion and
Yeah.
hey, the skill set of building, I mean, let me know. We can have those discussions as well. So I'd love to help.
I think probably your experience in personal fitness probably gives you a lot of good accountability coaching. And that's probably what I need the most, is just accountability. Just do the thing you say you're going to do.
Yeah. It truly is everybody, right? Like that's, all the information's out there. It's just a matter of you're going to spend the time to learn it, which sucks. That's why I come into someone like yourself saying, hey, tell me what to fix. I'll go then fix it. Okay. I don't know how to do that. Okay, cool. Teach me. Boom, done. But then it does fall out on me to actually do the work. Right.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, I thank you so much, having Jan again.
Thank you for having me on, and the conversation is great.
And I can't wait to have your boy toy on here in the next couple of weeks. How long you guys been married now? Is it a year? Year and a half?
We got married in October last year. So
Okay, so coming up on a year.
Been together 7 years though. I think it's 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you guys were together for a while, so it's awesome watching you guys on social media and just the content you put out and the fun stuff that you guys do too. So I'm really privileged to have you as somebody I can call a friend. So
You too. Thank you.
you're very welcome. So have a good rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.
All right.